County. The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hi, and welcome to Politically Speaking. I'm David Shearman. My guest today is Mayor Ian Boddy of the city of Owen Sound, and he is in the garden. I gather it's behind the Bayshore. Is that right, Ian?
Yeah, I'm in the Owen Sound Garden Club's gardens behind the Bayshore. It's beautiful out here.
Great. That's absolutely fabulous because it looks very, very lush and just the kind of thing that you really looks wonderful.
Yeah, you don't have to wait to get married or to have a graduation to come and see the garden and get your picture taken here. It really is amazing in every angle. Right.
I'll bet you there are lots of weddings that are done in that garden. And
yes, I was just talking to one of the gardeners that came through to check one of her plants, and that's what she was saying, that it's very busy for graduations and for weddings.
Which reminds me that we'll get in a little plug for that city service that is offered, that the city does have officiants to provide weddings.
Yes, and those are done mostly at City Hall, I think, but I suppose they could be done down here.
Well, for certain. That's a wedding there, or even the pictures, is always a great treat. And I think it's the city clerk's office that handles that particular facility, if I'm not mistaken.
You can find anything on owensound.ca, I think, if you go in and search around.
That's very, very true, Ian. That's very, very true. But anyway, let's get on to the last time we talked. We were anticipating summer. It's now almost fall as we are speaking. And what kind of a summer did you have?
That was just 2 weeks ago we met, wasn't it? It seems like summer gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Quite a busy summer, yes, and it went by quickly.
What was the busyness about?
Well, certainly before, back in July, Council went through the staff report and service review. The service review took the original consultant's report, fleshed it out, put some goals on it, put some timelines on it, and put some things to go and look at. So in the past, when we've done a service review, staff have identified things they think they can cut right now. With Tim Simmons as manager, it's let's identify things that we think we can cut, but let's do the proper research and planning and development and see what those numbers are before we make tweaks, and let's do it slowly, carefully, make sure we're not disrupting services and moving ahead. So it's looking forward to it playing out over the rest of the council term as they reach those goals.
So the difference this time, would it be fair to say, is that that any changes the council makes are driven by data, as the expression goes?
Yes, that's the goal. It's not to make a decision now and find out the consequences later. It is structured, doing it properly, going about it, coming up with policies. So, we identified the areas with the approval of the service review, but each little decision will come back to council as we move forward and as there's information to support the decision.
Sure. And that is a bit of a shift because sometimes the data hasn't been available. Sometimes it's never been measured. So
correct. Yeah. So it's a better way to do it for sure. And that's we've been trying to build in structure over the last number of years and in the things that we do.
Well, what about public consultation? Is that a part of the service review as well? I know it was part of the review itself, but as things move forward, will there be public consultation? Will the question be asked, what will the impact of this change be on you?
Well, it depends on what the changes are, I think, as we go through that. Some changes maybe won't have public impact and some may. So we'll see as we go.
Sure, sure. Now, the question could also be asked, staff will be affected by these changes because it may mean job descriptions or jobs may change, and what the city does over here may not be what it's done over there. Will the staff be involved in consultation as well and making sure that things get done as well as possible?
Yeah, we've already gone out to staff initially with city manager, with HR. I attended 2 out of the 3 sessions. I couldn't get to the third because I was at Grey County. The people that are driving snowplows, I'm going to pick that one out of the blue, often get criticized because they went around the block twice. Well, they will do a pattern to get, and they know exactly what they're doing. They've been doing it. They passed it down. They look for efficiencies all the time. They know the efficiencies. The 9 of us that come in on Monday night to read reports and make decisions don't know the detail that staff knows. So they're definitely going to be involved. They're definitely important. And what we tried to indicate to them is, as much as anything, we're looking for things that they do that they say, why are we doing this? And if the answer is because we've been doing it for 100 years, but it doesn't really work, or if it's something that we don't need to do, or it's something that they're spending 50% of their time doing something small and not getting to those big things that take 70% of the time. Those are the things we're looking for them to help us with. So it's not necessarily cutting staff, just cutting them off at the knees. It's trying to be more efficient, trying to decide what we're doing, how we're doing it, whether we need to be doing things in 2023 because we used to do them in 1989, for example.
Well, the other thing too is that your point about snow plowing is very well taken. It really does. I've discovered it matters because they do it in a very clear pattern. I've always wondered, okay, they've done one side of the street. Why don't they come around and do the other? Well, because they've got to go around a long block, and it does work out quite well in the long run, and the streets do get plowed. The other thing to remember too is different streets have different priorities, so we have to kind of keep an eye on that too, don't we?
Yes. Yeah, and there's a whole plan there. And again, if you go to onsound.ca, I can't remember the name of the report, but it's there for anyone to see how we plow snow. And I don't want to be talking about plowing snow today in September in the garden in this weather.
All right, so I won't ask you if there's a great big pile of green salt behind you in the parking lot of the grain elevator.
I don't know. I haven't been on that side of town to see. It will come soon. It will come soon.
Oh, yes. I did notice that I was driving past one of the Miller MTO garages, and they've got all the road closed signs all freshened up with new signage and nice fresh flags. And so I guess they're ready. So I presume our city is as well.
Yeah, I assume we will be.
Yeah.
If we aren't now, we will be.
Well, we'll save that one for our next conversation in a month or two. I was going to ask you, my impression, and it's just my impression, is that this summer was almost like a pre-COVID summer. People were out and about. There were the events. And I guess I first noticed it around Canada Day because there were festivities on Canada Day. Then there was the hottest sale, which is a real event for the business community, especially on 2nd Ave East. There was Summerfolk. There was Harbor Nights, the concerts at Harbor Nights, and I heard anecdotally from my friends at Rogers here that there were no rainouts on the Harbor Nights concert. It was great that way.
Well, the Summerfolk Salmon Spectacular, I think everyone did well this summer. Certainly Sweetwater. Yeah, last weekend we had Sweetwater Music Festival. We had Cobble Beach Concord Elegance on Sunday out at Cobble, but they had a classic car Cars and Coffee and Saturday morning here on Main Street and shut down 4 blocks, and it was packed with people. And then we went to Concours de Lemon, which was lots of fun by the library. We had Rib Fest down here. We had Ride Don't Hide on Sunday morning, Terry Fox Sunday morning. So it was one heck of a weekend for activities in Owen Sound. So yeah, I think people are starting to get out and participate again. Now I don't think it's with COVID or fear of COVID. It may be a change of style, of lifestyle, and spending more time at home, that there might be fewer people out just yet. But it's certainly adjusting, and people are coming back out, and it's great for the community.
Absolutely. I mean, I was at Cobble Beach myself at the Concours d'Elegance, and here's a cheap plug. In about 2 to 3 months, we're going to have a special on Rogers TV about the concours and showing some of the cars. And it was a great day. I was astonished at how packed the fairway was. It was it was just packed. Of course, we got interrupted by rain, but for about 2 hours. But that comes with the territory. But it was a great day, just a great day.
I was astonished by how packed the 12-cylinder engine was in the 1965 Lamborghini.
I heard that one running, but I'll tell you, the one that really impressed me was the 1932, I think, Duesenberg dual calfation. That thing was had more aluminum and more chrome on it than I've seen on many cars. And the other one that really impressed me, I have to say, was one of my favorites, was the Type 35 Bugatti, the blue one that you saw immediately when you walked in. Boom, there it was. Just a beautiful little classic car. And when I started it up, it was pretty noisy too.
So it's like going to an art gallery. It's artistic creativity. When you see these cars, Rob McLeese teases me that I've become a car guy, but how could you not when you see the beauty of these machines and how well they're kept? And, right through, we had so much fun at the Concours de Lemon, which was, any car that wouldn't win a car show could be there. And there's some, creative things. There's some rust buckets. It's just so much fun with everyone having fun about cars, and it will expand again next year. I could just tell by the way people are having fun with it. And, cans of Spam were the prizes, and little things, lots of fun.
And then they even made use of the Roxy with two seminars, which were free.
Yeah, and really amazing seminars. I forget names and what's, but I looked at them and thought, I'd like to be there, but I can't be there and here. So,
well, that makes it a little more difficult for you, doesn't it, as mayor? Because you got to make an appearance at all of these events.
And it didn't get to all of them, but got to as many as I could.
Right.
And luckily, I've got Deputy Mayor Greg that attends things like Terry Fox Run while I'm out pedaling my bicycle on the Ride Don't Hide. So we try and cover off as many things as we can.
Sure. Well, there was also the other one was interesting was the weekend before was the RCMP musical ride, which was absolutely fabulous. It was great to see. It was great entertainment and a great afternoon for everyone.
My oldest brother went into the RCMP in 1973, and talking about family pride, when he graduated from Depot Division in Regina, and we went out in the spring, the red serge, the hats, the polished boots. He was placed in Alberta and then eventually BC, and was in Fort McMurray during boom years, and up to Fort Mackay, which is the Indigenous community, and made so many friends throughout that community. And, it's fun to see the musical ride come in to On Sound, because it means a lot to our family. Just proud of my brother. For sure.
Now, I've been told that it's probably been 30 years since the musical ride was in town, in Owen Sound, and the last time they were up at Victoria Park. So this was a little bit different. I have seen the musical ride in a Prairie Arena. And when they do the charge that particular move, it's very different.
Yes, a little more room. The other thing
There's a little more room.
RCMP is celebrating their 150th anniversary. So starting in 1873, and their third recruit was a guy named Sam Steele, born in Aurelia, living in Clarksburg, part of the Gray Regiment, the Gray Battalion, I'm not sure which. Probably infantry in Meaford, but I'm not exactly sure. He was the third person to join up with the Northwest Mounted. So from Gray County, signed up and went out west, and then had quite a career, peacekeeping, et cetera, on the prairies, and Boer War and Army things, and an amazing career that he had. So it's kind of neat. There seems to be an Owen Sound or Gray County connection to everything.
Well, it was funny you say that, because I was working as an usher for both performances, and it was amazing the number of people whom I saw that I hadn't seen in a long time. You know, it was almost like I said, it's almost like everyone has come out of the woodwork to attend these events. Not everything, but we're slowly coming back to where we were in terms of some of these events. Oh, the world has changed, no question, but we're getting back to those community events that we all love so much.
Yes. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Now, let's flip the script a little bit, because it's also been a challenging summer for you as mayor, I'm sure, but also for council. We've had some serious crimes that have happened, and 3 murders, and then we've had an overdose explosion with fatalities there. People are concerned about community safety. What's your take on it?
Well, first of all, I'm going to correct you. We haven't had 3 murders. We've had 3 homicides. 2 of them charges have been laid for murder. We don't know what the third one is just yet.
That's true. Very true. It's always the lawyer, Ian. Always the lawyer.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. That's part of my background. Plus, we get coached by our chief of police to be very careful until the investigation is done, that we don't say something that would interfere with it. You know, we used to have a homicide once every 5 years. And we seem to have them once every 3 years, and then another 5 years goes by. And having 3 in one summer is just not our community. You know, that's just not, people are upset because they don't see Owen Sound as being like that. It's certainly happening in Toronto. It's certainly happening in London. It's certainly happening everywhere else. And that's fine. Leave it there. We don't want it here. So it has been a trying summer with opiates, opiate addictions. We see it in the street, mental health. It's partly why I went out to ride on Ride Don't Hide on Sunday, to raise some money for the local programs that CMHA is putting on. And, you know, you don't have to write a check to Ride Don't Hide. Go write a check to CMHA directly. They're doing really good programming and good supports for those people that need it. We all see it every day. Go and help. Like, you know, I'm back to that Kennedy thing of the inauguration. Ask not what your city can do for you. Ask what you can do for your city, you know, for your community. So get out and help. That's encourage everyone to support those charities that are helping people.
And people can take the extra step of volunteering, because I know that a lot of the nonprofit organizations in our city could use help with volunteers. So it's not just writing a check; it's spending time, and there's lots of opportunities for everyone at their own comfort level.
Yeah, with everything, you know, this city would not exist without the volunteers in it. You know, whether you look at Rotary that you're involved with, you know, Kiwanis, the people that help up at the hospital, the people that help at the church, all the people that coach minor sports, organize those leagues. It's all volunteer, and it just wouldn't work without volunteer support. You know, so many of our committees are volunteer, you know, and that's important. Yeah.
And it cuts both ways, both the dollars and the cents and the personal time investment. And I know that there are so many opportunities for that kind of service. Just ask the question of any of our service organizations. They're glad to help you. Glad to give you an opening.
David, before we move off the safety concern with downtown, there's a number of people saying, why isn't council doing anything? And it isn't that we're not doing anything. We're being very careful to make sure that the police investigation goes the way it should without interference. The chief of police tells me he can't even speak to it without the permission of the investigators. And they are very careful what they leak because they don't want information going out that comes back to them and appears to be something that it isn't. So when they get information, they want it to be untainted. They want to make sure they have the best evidence. So when they hand it over to the Crown Attorney and it gets prosecuted at some point, that it's clean and it's clear. So part of what we're doing is staying out of our way. Approximately 2 or 3 years ago, it's that COVID blur, the provincial government made us set up a community safety and well-being plan. And we went together with all the communities in Grey and Bruce, with the exception of Meaford, that went on their own. And we set up a very robust plan that is there with action tables to be set up when these things come along. And, we'll be going forward and asking them to step up because, I shouldn't say step up because that sounds derogatory, to please take action because that's how the plan is built out for them to take action. You've got 70 different community members that are there at that table that can support it and offer their expertise. So that's the right place for it to happen. And we'll be looking forward to them stepping up. I use that word again. I don't mean that to be that they're not stepping up. I don't want it to sound that way, but we'll be asking them to take action.
Sure. And what's the path for that request? Does it come, there'll be formal requests through council, or does it come from your office, or what?
That's a great question. We're sorting that out. Whether it's just a letter from the mayor, whether it comes through council, we're sorting that out.
It may also be worth mentioning that kind of in hand in hand with the police investigation is that this takes time. And one has to be take careful, measured steps, I would think, to respond to the sort of nature of the community. I mean, I've heard on social media people saying, we need closed circuit cameras, we need this, we need that, we need something else. But are those issues, that's the place for those issues to be discussed, I take it? And
certainly with some of those cameras and some of the lighting and those types of things, we're already doing that, at the city level. Things take time. So many of us are used to it being wrapped up in an hour on Channel 6, on television, and it doesn't work that way. If you think back to August 10th of 2015 when we had the arsons, they happened Sunday night, Monday morning. We had a council meeting Monday night, so we were able to put out a statement immediately. One of the parties turned themselves in during that council meeting on Monday night, and by the time our meeting ended, I had a phone call from Chief Sornberger saying, we've identified the individuals, we'll be moving forward to make arrests. So, that was in 24 hours, and that was a whole bunch of luck coming together. In this case, something happens on Thursday night. By the time the police get it in front of it, going into a long weekend, by the time the police get it, whether there's justices of the peace in the building or whether there aren't, whether they're out in Walkerton or someplace else throughout their region, it gets in front of them. An order gets made to collect videotape. The videotape gets collected from banks, for example. It's got to go to head office. It takes time just to get the videotape and move forward. So, and it doesn't happen instantly.
You make a very good point that we're so used to seeing crimes being solved within 48 minutes, the standard length of a 1-hour television show. It doesn't matter whether it's reality or drama, where we see that. But the truth is, it does take more time and a lot of resources I saw a statement, I think it may have been from Inspector Bishop to the River District, saying that Owen Sound has more police in the city right now than it's ever had. And it's because we are supplanted. We've got officers who were seconded from the OPP to do investigation, but with all the homicides we've had, I use that word rightly, it's homicide.
Homicides.
There was a real toll on our police services this summer, and I recall the Chief Ambrose saying he was really appreciative of both the OPP but also West Grey stepping up and sending officers in to take over shifts that they were short-staffed on.
Well, it wasn't so much that. West Grey and Hanover did come in and they supported with canvassing, looking for video machines, looking for anything that anyone saw up and down Main Street. So they're a great support, and that's a beauty. Actually, next door there's a police board meeting going on today with Hanover, West Grey, Saugeen Shores, a whole bunch of smaller ones from all over the region that are together, sharing notes, sharing ideas, and that's how small, medium-sized police forces work. They work together on things like that. Thought pattern. Not sure where it went.
Well, I think the other thing is that the forces are small enough that the officers and the constables will know each other and will work together in that way, because it's not as if they're in one force. It's, hey, we're here, but how can we help you?
We're doing dispatch here for everybody as we go into that new generation 911. We're going to be the leaders of that. We're doing a lot of the IT work for different police forces in the area. Certainly, we're all training together. Today is an example, but when they have training sessions, they'll try and instead of going down staying in a hotel in Toronto for 12 guys, why not do it here for 12 guys and bring one guy to stay in the hotel and the trainer to come this direction, and they'll all meet here or Hanover, one of the places, and train together. So it's efficiencies, and that brings us back to the types of things we're talking about with the service review. How do we share things? Right.
It's effective not only for the community but also obviously for the police forces as a whole. So
yep.
So obviously the homicide issue is sort of there, and we're dealing with it. What about the opioid poisoning issue? I know that's probably more Board of Health, but at the same time, what's your position on that? And do you have any comments on the opioid poisoning situation we've got?
It's heartbreaking, quite clearly. When you see people that could be your brother, could be your sister, could be your son, could be, in that degree of addiction, that it's heartbreaking. Certainly, Dr. Era and the health unit are working on those types of things, trying to track it. Certainly, the police are involved. What did I just see the number for 2023? I think we're up to $25 million that's spent on housing at Grey County, and approximately 3 of that is on homelessness. Temporary shelter for Grey County, I think, was $800,000, or close to $1 million. I can't remember the exact amount. We've got the building that's being completed at 14th and 4 West. CMHA is getting into the next time period, the funding window for the next time period, to be able to service it. Certainly, our hospital is putting together the long-term treatment, both mental health and addictions treatment center up at the old Bayview School. And these are going to help. They have to help. Mm-hmm. But we need the doors open. Right? We need the doors open. I'm confident that we're going to see a positive outcome once those doors are open, but I don't guarantee whatsoever that it's going to solve every person. There's a lot of them out there that can't live in a place, they don't want to live in a place. And, I get comments from people that, we're over supporting them, we're doing too much, but you have to keep people alive to be able to help them. If you lose them, there's no help. And again, that could be my brother, it could be my son, it could be my sister, it could be a family member. It's so easy for good people to get in trouble. And you got to help them. You got to do all you can to keep them alive and keep your fingers crossed that it clicks and you can get them the help at the right time.
Right. Well, Ian, we're going to take a break and come back because, we've got more to talk about, to be sure. I'm David Shearman. This is Politically Speaking, and we will be right back.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
This is Rogers TV.
My name is Matthew Rutledge. I'm a 60 Scoop survivor, born in Red Lake. Was adopted from there to Toronto at the age of 4. A lot of our brothers and sisters, family members got separated from each other. That was the government's goal, to break that connection from brothers and sisters. Basically taking the Indian out of the child. Right now, they're still trying to find themselves. Originally, my birth name is Harvey Halverson. In my high school days, teens, I was trying to fit into society. I knew I was First Nations, but I didn't know who I was inside. I think later in life, I started that journey. I am proud, and it's not my man, who I am now. I love life, who I am.
Up on the next Grey County Life, we will be talking to Christine Pompeo from the Meaford Scarecrow Invasion about their upcoming event.
We'll also be joined by John Farmer from the Canadian Mental Health Association to talk about a new program.
And Renee from the Owen Sound Animal Shelter.
Hi, and welcome back to Politically Speaking. I'm David Shearman. My guest is Mayor Ian Boddy of the city of Owen Sound. Now, Ian, during the break, you were looking at the flag on the picnic shelter there, just not far from the gardens. Were you envious?
Yeah, it's a great day for sailing out there.
Okay.
for guys that aren't in blazers and ties and talking.
Right. Well, I was out walking my dog at lunchtime, and it was absolutely glorious. So we can't complain at this point. Not yet.
No.
Although I have to say, there was frost this morning. Up here on the West Hill, we had frost.
Well, that will bring on the maple leaf turning of colors. So that makes another good season.
Oh, for sure. And that's the next tourist season or visitors season that's going to happen, because that's that, and then we get to Thanksgiving and that's almost over.
And salmon coming up the Sydenham, and yeah.
And then we wait for the winter sports at Blue Mountain.
No, we wait for the winter sports in Owen Sound. There's hockey and hurling, and there's cross-country skiing, and there's snowshoeing. And yes, you can go to Blue Mountains, but there's so much you can do around here too.
Well, there's a lot to do no matter where. And then there's the attack.
Exactly.
Now,
David, plugging away ahead, I think it's something like Saturday, November 19th. Santa Claus will come to town. There will be an evening parade again. And we're just putting together, after such a success with Hockey Day in Canada, that we'll have a Hockey Day on Sound. We've got the Women's University hockey game coming back. We'll have the high school boys and girls games coming back. And then there'll be a road hockey tournament on Main Street. Before or after the parade, I'm not really sure, but we're going to have a really fun day. And I think it's the 19th of November. It's always that third Saturday. It's going to be a great day, celebrating the parade and and hockey in the community. So something else to look forward to downtown.
Well, that's great, because I know Hockey Day was a smashing success, and that the Santa Claus Parade is always a great attraction. And
Yes.
I'm not getting any corrections in my earphone from my producer Mark Perry saying we won't be there, but I think we will be there, and we'll just wait and see how it is. It's he's just told me in my ear we will be there, so you can watch it on Rogers TV.
Perfect.
So, yeah. Now, have you scheduled the snow?
No, that's not my department.
Okay.
If I could, it would only be on lawns, and it wouldn't be in laneways or on streets. But that's getting too precise, I think.
Yeah, or as I say, those are management decisions.
Yep.
So
Upper, much upper.
much higher than my pay grade, to be absolutely sure. Well, let's. One of the things we were talking before the break about some of the treatment places that are happening, but there was a Great County has made an announcement about Safe and Sound over the winter as well, have they not?
Yes, there's going to be some funding for Safe and Sound to stay open more hours, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. Now, it's not going to be a shelter. It will be a drop-in, from what I understand. So it's, but there will be a place for people who are unhoused or who want to get warm to go.
Yes. Again, like all of us, there's a social aspect to their community, and it's healthier when they're together and talking to each other than trying to live their lives, alone. So it's good to have those types of places that they can congregate and get some help and some friendship,
or at least a cup of hot chocolate or coffee.
Yep.
Sure. Well, let's move on a little bit, because there was speaking of announcements, there was a major announcement by the federal government about hydrogen optimized recently. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, a mayor's only as good as what's going on in his community, and I've been awfully lucky that we lost jobs at Tenneco. A local entrepreneur, Peter Van Doler, and his partners went in and bought that building. It wasn't bought by somebody in Toronto that it was just another investment. It was bought by somebody who cares about the community, thinks about the community, and that's luck number one. Luck number two, along comes a third and fourth generation of a family that's been making hydrogen electrolyzers for 100 years. With some really neat technology that's gone into that Tenneco building. They've got approximately 60 employees right now. They're all engineers and scientists. So it isn't like minimum wage jobs. They're all very, very, very well paid. And they're developing a really neat piece of technology. So with funding from FedDev, an announcement with the Minister of Economic Development for Southern Ontario being here, $3.5 million in funding. It allows them to build out the processing equipment in the factory faster. It will add 50 extra jobs there. And why I focus on just there, that's 50 there in that building. They're buying their steel locally. They're buying a lot of their machining from local machine shops. There's beyond the building, there's employment going out to other entrepreneurs and business operators in the town, and they're able to employ people. So the spinoff just keeps getting wider and wider from that 50 people, and it's so good for our community. And it's a product that is innovative, entrepreneurial, futuristic. So it's not, it's not assembly. It's building out something that's going to potentially change the world, help us get to net zero by 2050. And part of that clean energy frontier that we have here with Bruce Power with certainly medical isotopes that we've got something coming up on. And yeah, there's lots going on, and it's great. We're sitting in a really good place right now.
That's great to hear. It's nice to see, because the hydrogen optimized plant isn't far, well, it's right across the street from the Rogers studio, and it's nice to see that building being used. It's nice to see, and it's nice to see the PPG plant being used for the same reason. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on in that particular corner of the city.
Well, not everybody realizes that PPG plant, I'm pretty sure, is filled out. There's stuff going on there. The old days of having 500 employees, well, I think PPG, the glass plant, I think peaked at 600 or 700 employees, and when they're closed, it was under 200 because of robotics and computerization, mechanization, and so a lot of the manufacturing now is smart manufacturing, and it is more robotics than labor, and it's more scientists and engineers getting paid versus low-income jobs. And that helps as those people go out and spend their money in the community.
Sure. Well, it's one of those things to watch. Now, speaking of growth and that kind of thing, Warden Milne made a very interesting comment last week when I interviewed him, because Southgate is right now in major development by Flato. And he was saying that Flato is building 200 homes a year in Southgate, in Dundalk. Wow. And I was just thinking about that and reflecting on that. If that's what happens in the next few years, we're going to be very, very busy. This city is going to be very, very busy. Because there's more than just Flato. There's Skydev, there's the Walmart Development Company. There could be a lot of construction going on in the next few years.
So Callaway is the company with
yes,
Smart Center.
That's right. Thank you.
Walmart. Skydev, Walmart. BCK, the Hansa property. Something going on just down here at Russell's that's in the works. Flato, Red Hawk. Barry has the property just east of the hospital. Certainly, if Peter Van Dolder is building things now, the new hotel, is in between the Sun Life building and Southbridge is under construction. Wow, eh? And a few years ago, there was nothing going on, and we were fighting hard to put together policies to attract it, and we're getting there. Yeah.
How much of an impact is the current economic climate having on development? Some are saying that the interest rates are causing development companies to hit the pause button. Is that what you're seeing as well, or do you think that the fundamentals are solid and it will come?
I think we've given out fewer building permits in the last year than we would have 3 years ago, for sure. Certainly when the interest rate goes up, that means that builders build less, or they try and force the price up, and that's not what you want, and that's not what they want either, frankly. It's great that the federal government announced again, and I hope they actually implement it, that they're going to not charge HST on purpose-built rental housing. So one of these, any of these developers that build a building are collecting HS, they're paying HST and all the things, and they're supposed to be collecting it too from themselves, I guess, basically. So the idea is that they won't have to pay HST on their costs as they build the building, and that's going to be a big benefit to developers and keep them going.
Sure. And I know that no matter which way they cut it in terms of the process, either you don't pay it when you buy the item or you apply for a rebate. Those processes are already in place. There's no, it's just a matter of expanding the process, because those processes are already in place. It's not as if they're going to create a new bureaucracy or anything like that.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh, trust me, on that one I know a bit about. But yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see. Um, with all of this development that is happening, and am I right in saying that Flato has breaking ground in behind the old Leon's location? There seemed to be some heavy earth moving equipment in there. Do you know anything about that?
There is, and I keep forgetting to ask who that is. I think the Flato signs have gone up. I think they're a little bit east of there. And I think you'll start to see some things happening there really soon, if it hasn't started already. I haven't been up there for a couple of weeks, but I'm not sure who's putting in the infrastructure that's going in right now, whether that's them or the neighbor.
Right, right. Because I know that there was some agreement for them they had to do some drainage mitigation before, and there was because I remember seeing that at coming to council. And I wondered if that was what they were, because that would be a good place to begin.
Yeah, that will be where they begin. As we say, they're moving some soil, they're moving some dirt around. They'll be moving some dirt around this fall, the way I understand it, and then starting to put in the water, the wastewater, the street water, as well as the wastewater. Infrastructure starts to go in before anything else does, and then you start to see the shape of the streets, and then the buildings start to go up.
Yeah. So lots of exciting times over the next few years here in the city.
Hope so.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you attended was AMO this summer. When we going back to our what did you do this summer? Our municipal politicians, many of them attend AMO. And what did you do at AMO?
Well, Scott and Marion and Melanie and others were there for the whole conference. Tim and I went down Tuesday morning for a couple of presentations to the parliamentary assistant for the Minister of Municipal Affairs. And the day before, our fire chief that has some expertise at this was with the Minister of Health or the parliamentary assistant the day before, meeting about doctor recruitment for the area. So Phil's discussion with Minister of Health was trying to get them to recognize that we're servicing the residents of Georgian Bluffs, of Chatsworth, and some of Meaford. And they don't have doctors out there, so they're getting funding, but they can't apply the funding in here. And then that needs to change to recognize the fact that, we may have X number of doctors for 21,000 people, but when we're providing X number of doctors for 50, 80,000 people, that the formula doesn't work. So I think they heard us this time. That's our second kick at the can on that one. We're meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs with regard to joint and several liability, and boy, it'll take me as a lawyer to explain that one. If there's an accident and the city gets sued and the city is found liable for 10% of the reason of the accident, and a car driver gets held for the other 80 or 90, I'm making this really trying to make it as simple as possible. It's possible that the 10% could have to pay all of it if the 90% doesn't have the ability to pay it. So quite often, municipalities with deep pockets and good insurance end up paying too much. And whenever we have to pay out, and I say we, I mean all municipalities that are insuring, then the insurance goes up. And so we wanted to change with that. We understand there is a change being announced that afternoon. I haven't gone back and looked at it. And the third one is just trying to find different ways to share costs throughout regions and things like that. And we got our point across. I'm not sure that went far. But, that's the whole idea, is to give them an idea to think about whether you get a yes or no at the meeting. You're at least getting them thinking about it, and that was our hope.
I've heard that referred to as planting seeds.
Yes, yeah, hopefully.
Yes. Now, one of the things that is always interesting to watch is how the province treats other cities, other municipalities. And the big news in the last, this week, that we're recording, is that there has been some conversation initiated between Toronto and the province, and they've got financial problems on a totally different scale than most of the other cities across the province. Do you foresee the province actually taking municipal funding seriously or changing any of the formulas, or is that just only going to apply to Toronto?
It is frustrating as the mayor of a city of 20,000 to see $78 million being provided to London for housing when the rest of us would be happy to take $2. No, I'd be happy to take $5 if they gave it to me, but you know what I mean. A few years ago, Mayor Tory made the comment that we're not going to have a balanced budget in the city of Toronto. We'll just look to the province and the federal government to make up the difference. I don't have that option. We can't run a deficit in operations. We're not allowed to. We can debenture on capital, which is putting a mortgage on it, but we cannot deficit budget on operations. But that was basically what he said he was going to do, and they get it. And, you know, big city, I get it. Swing ridings, election time on my cynical side. 9 cents of every dollar that is collected in taxes in Ontario goes to the municipal level. But we're carrying about 65% of the infrastructure. So we need a new deal. There's no doubt about it. AMO's talking about it, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. They're talking about lobbying for that. I have no indication that because they gave it to Toronto, they'll give it to anyone else, but it would be very nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it also looks like the municipal restructuring that was on the table for the regional municipalities has been, how shall I say, dialed back. Not that it would affect us up here, but you never know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I was getting the feeling that there was changes coming across the province. They announced it a few years ago. They finally did put in they call them a facilitator. I forget what word they used to describe.
That's the word they used, yes.
For 6 regions that they'll go and have another look at. Mm-hmm. Very, very simple, I know, is one of them, and they might look at putting municipalities together. Niagara, Waterloo, Kitchener, we certainly saw what happened in Peel, Mississauga, that they pulled them apart, and I don't know, that made no sense to me, but that's why I'm the mayor in Owen Sound and not Mississauga. It seems to me if you're sharing a lot of your resources that you're always better off to be sharing them, but I didn't understand that one. Anyway, so the government's looking at 6, not real interested in going any further with the rest of us in the hinterland.
Yeah, and you're just as happy to leave it that way.
No, I'm not. No, I think we need to continually have a conversation in Grey County or in Bruce County about becoming more efficient and sharing resources, whether it be at the upper tier or at the lower tier, municipalities working together. And frankly, from time to time, we need to have that discussion of whether those artificial boundaries make any sense whatsoever. But I guess we need to have that conversation here in Grey County and not wait for Queen's Park to have any interest. So, yeah, I would welcome that conversation.
Well, that's an interesting point to make, because much depends on the willingness of the mayors around the county table, but also on the leadership of the warden.
Yes, well, we're all in it, Mm-hmm. There's 18 people around the table at Grey County. We can all put up our hand and move something and get someone to second it. So, to have that conversation. I think about some of these smaller municipalities that perhaps have lost arenas or need a new arena, and how are they ever going to fund it? And would they be, and I'm not talking about them joining Owen Sound, but maybe some of the smaller ones join each other. Would that give them an upper leg, a little more clout, a little more population to be able to go to the provincial government to get funding for new arenas, rec centers for their kids that are growing up there? I just have heard different municipalities. Rec centers is a good example. Different municipalities that are talking about it and talking about it individually, and they're better to do it together. You know,
For sure.
Here it worked with Georgian Bluffs. Meaford chose to stay out of it at the time, although they sat on the committee, and so many people in the former Sydenham are not Meaford town oriented; they're on sound oriented, and they use our facilities here. They would have been quite happy to participate in the rec center at the time.
Sure. It's an interesting conversation, because I know that I've heard municipal officials in Grey County say we have actually got too many arenas and they're wearing out, and you know that anyway, it becomes a long and involved conversation when you start talking about that thing. But you're right, there may be synergies which can be found.
I think our rec center, what are we, 12 or 13 years already? Might be just 10, maybe just 10. Bayshore here is, I think, 83, so that's 40 years. Shallow Lake's got to be somewhere close to 60. Not sure about Katy. No ice in Kilsyth, no ice in Kemble. Yeah. And, you know, it's great for kids to go and put on skates and burn the steam off, as my grandmother would have said. You know, get out, participate, play with other kids, and learn how to play with other kids, and learn how to participate, and learn how to make up your own rules and follow them. And, you know, those little things that are socialization that you can get in team sports. I hope we're not losing to the Game Boy or the whatever it is on TV.
Well, it doesn't. From the background there, it sounds like you've got some young people out playing on the slides and such there. So they're involved on such a beautiful day.
Well, we had a little toddler up here at the soccer ball that you couldn't see just off the screen a couple of minutes ago with a big smile on his face, having a great time.
And I'll bet you that kind of warms your heart to see a child of that age playing with the recreation facilities at the Bayshore.
Yeah, and you know, then it comes back to people like Kiwanis, people like Order of Good Cheer that put these types of playgrounds in around the city and around Harrison Park that kids get to play at. So it's good. It's needed.
Yes.
That's how we succeed.
Right. And speaking of facilities, we just got a minute left, but the skateboard park is scheduled for repair this fall up by the on the Victoria Park by the MacArthur Recreation Center.
Yeah, gee, what do you call that? A cost of success?
Yes.
Whatever, a consequence of success. Certainly, we're talking about putting a big whole new pad in that was going to cost an awful lot. Having that pad there from the old Coliseum was there, which was great. It was smooth. But as the water's gotten in and chipped away, we'll figure out how to resurface it and keep it going. But it's so well used and such a wonderful facility for kids.
And on that note, Ian, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. It's been great to have you. We will see you again. I'm David Shearman. This has been Politically Speaking. We will talk again.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
My name is Miles Morales, and I'm Brooklyn's one and only Spider-Man.
Miles! Want to get out of here?
So wait a minute, there's an elite crew with all the best Spider-Man?